Yang Train. What's up, Yang Gang? So I saw on Twitter that my boy Andrew Yang retweeted a tweet from Face the Nation that they're doing an interview with him on Sunday. Now, I don't know who Face the Nation are. I don't exactly know what they do. I'm assuming they're some kind of political media company, but that doesn't matter to me, all right? All I'm in it is for the Yang. I'm trying to listen to this man speak. Now, I find with a lot of these shorter clips that it falls into one of two buckets. Either the people kind of listen to him speak, they give him plenty of times to flesh out the concepts that he's trying to go over in a short amount of time, and they tend to agree with a lot of what he says. Or they'll kind of fight back on everything, not really wanting to listen, only really wanting to argue. I'm not going to go ahead and show the clip because sometimes YouTube can be weird and I don't want to get any of these videos taken down. But don't worry, I'll keep you preoccupied with some high quality memes that I made. Make sure you go ahead and follow my Instagram at Andrew Yang Train. And the link to this interview will be in the description down below, so make sure you go ahead and check that out first. Let's get it.
We're back with one of the 23 candidates running for the Democratic nomination. Andrew Yang is an entrepreneur who founded an organization that grants fellowships to college graduates interested in creating startups. Good morning and welcome to the broadcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
How would you compete with China?
Wow, out the gate, how would you compete with China? Okay, I'm cool with it. Let's get it.
Well, certainly the tariffs and the trade war are the wrong way to go. We're now entering a very dangerous phase of potentially competitive devaluations. I was just in Iowa last week, and the farmers and producers there are losing business. They feel betrayed by President Trump. We need to curb some of the abuses on the Chinese side, but the trade war is leading the global economy in the wrong direction.
All right, I like how he kind of brings out the American point of view first, immediately taking it as like, look, the way in which we're doing business with our foreign partners, unfortunately right now is having a lot of effect on the Americans right here, such as the farmers. So I really like how he's taking that angle.
So what would you do differently?
What we have to do is we have to create a path forward for the Chinese that allows them to save face and say, look, we need to curb your theft of intellectual property rights, and here's what we can do in return. But the problem right now is that there's no notice, and there's this arbitrary nature of the tariffs where Donald Trump will say one thing one day and then come back the next week. And the Chinese at this point don't know how to negotiate in good faith. We have to create a path forward that'll work for both sides.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of find interesting as well, is like at this point, tweets could pretty much be policy with kind of some of the stuff that's happening. A lot of this inconsistency and unprofessionalism really makes it hard to do a lot of good business with this at this point.
The jobless rate in this country is at a historic low, as you heard the White House make the case. But you are arguing that you see problems with income inequality in this country and that huge classes of jobs are going to disappear because people will be replaced by machines. What jobs are going away entirely?
Okay, if you've listened to any one of Andrew Yang's videos, especially one of his long form videos, you already kind of know what he's gonna unload on her, because I'm assuming she already knows this, but she's just kind of setting the stage for what a new viewer might want to hear. Some big overall questions that kind of get into a lot of these micro answers that he has to give off his full point. So let's just go ahead and see what he's going to do.
Well, Americans watching this right now are seeing their Main Street stores close as 30% of American malls and stores shut their doors forever. And the reason for that is that Amazon's absorbing $20 billion in business every year and paying zero in taxes in return. So these economic changes helped get Donald Trump elected. We automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all of the swing states in the Midwest. And now that automation trend is going to come to retail, call centers, fast food, and eventually truck drivers, which is the most common job in 29 states in this country. This is the true economic transformation that we have to come together and address as a society as quickly as we can.
You see, kind of as expected, we knew he was going to bust out some of these facts, all right? The same facts that he's been preaching over and over and over again. 30% of stores and malls are going to be closing in the next 4 or 5 years. We have truck automation that's going to come within the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to put millions of truck drivers out of work. It's a lot of the same stuff he's been saying over and over again. And I do notice that as he continues to go ahead and polish his message, that he's getting a lot better at being a lot more efficient in this kind of answer. I like seeing him continually level up.
And part of your solution is to give everyone $1,000 a month. This is a universal basic income. It's been supported by Mark Zuckerberg, other entrepreneurs. But how do you actually say that this is going to incentivize people to work? Isn't the American dream about working hard to achieve something, not a government handout?
So there's a number of different ways he can go about this answer. There's the one angle where if you get $12,000 a year, it's not enough to just pay all your needs. It will give you a huge leg up, and it will only incentivize you to work because now you'll have that extra money guaranteed that you can fall back on that can really add a lot more relief to the stress in your life because you're not chained down to the one situation that you're in that could be bad. You could go at it through the angle of Alaska's already had a dividend in place. It's a deep red state and they like it because it's universal. Everybody gets it. It's not a rich to poor transfer. Could take it at the angle of, well, okay, what is this actually going to do for communities? Well, for a lot of these communities that have been, ravaged by the loss of jobs, loss of businesses in their community due to these big tech conglomerates, well, now you're pumping direct money into that community and it's only going to help build up that area, that town, that whatever that was deprived of resources prior. I don't know. Let's see what Yang thinks.
Well, Americans will work even harder when they get the resources in place to actually get ahead. This is the trickle-up economy from our people, families, and communities up. It will create over 2 million new jobs in our communities because the money will go right into local Main Street businesses, to car repairs, daycare expenses, Little League signups. And that's where the economic value needs to go in order to create jobs where people live and work.
See, he went the local route, talking about the Main Street businesses, the local economies that would be just supercharged by the surge of revenue.
And you want to put in a 10% tax, a value-added tax on transactions, on consumer purchases in order to pay for all this. You put it at cost about $2 trillion. But I'm wondering, what example do you have of this actually working in another country? Like Saudi Arabia has this, and you don't see them as a hub of innovation?
It's a really solid question because, again, a lot of viewers who might not be familiar with Yang or his candidacy or what he's speaking to, they would absolutely have these questions too. So it's really nice seeing him give an answer for all these different points.
Well, if you look, Margaret, every other developed economy already has a mechanism just like this. Europe, Canada, Asia, everyone has figured out that you can't have a $1 trillion tech company like Amazon pay zero in taxes, less than everyone who's watching this right now. That doesn't make any sense, and the American people know it. So this has already been figured out by every other developed economy.
You're talking about a value-added tax.
And we need to follow suit.
But
yeah, that's exactly right.
But in terms of the universal basic income, the $1,000 you want to give every American.
Yeah, so if we look within our own country, Alaska's had a dividend of $1,000 to $2,000 per individual for almost 40 years.
There's the Alaska bit, yeet!
It was passed by a Republican governor. It's wildly popular. It's created thousands of jobs right there in Alaska. So you don't even need to look abroad. They call it the oil check in Alaska. We're going to call this the tech check. It's going to help rejuvenate American Main Street businesses and give us all a path forward.
Andrew Yang, it's an interesting idea. Thank you for making the case. And we'll be watching your campaign.
All right. Wasn't the most exciting outro. She definitely didn't seem too interested. Maybe she's very skeptical at this point. Maybe she's also not sure on how far Yang could actually go with these policies that are so different from everybody else, how he's really going to stack up against the pack, because as of right now, he's still only really sitting at 2 to 3% nationally. I thought overall he did a pretty good job. She was able to ask a number of different questions that allowed him to kind of flesh into some of these other details of his policies. But again, you can only really get so much information, so much context in a 4 to 5 minute video that it's not going to really entice you to go full too deep into the Yang Gang, but it's going to give you enough of a sample size to really think, okay, this guy's pretty different. This guy's pretty interesting. All right, guys, but thank you so much for watching my first video on this Andrew Yang Train channel. And go ahead and tell me in the comment section down below, if you had $1,000 more a month, what would you spend that money on? Tell me. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Yang Train.